The civil rights leaders did not march for a separate national anthem. They marched for this country to realize the ideals that have been espoused in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. That's what they marched for. They didn't march for a separate but equal stance. They didn't march for a separate but equal national anthems. They didn't march for separate but equal graduations. Thank you so much for liking your comments and subscribing to the channel. Please share this with your friends. Smash that like button. Smash the subscription bell. Share this with everybody you know. We're trying to make sure people understand that they're not victims, that they are empowered for greatness, and all this stuff that's out here that's telling them otherwise is false and will not benefit them in the end. So please, I appreciate that. Share that. So the NFL is back. And with that, the woke culture has struck again. The NFL, on all of their quote-unquote tentpole games, the games on Thursday nights, Sunday night, Monday night, the games with the primetime audience, they're going to play the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. They're going to put things at the end zone, end racism. While on the surface, those things are good. We all want to end racism. But I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, you cannot end racism. Racism is a spirit. As long as you have spirits in place, you're going to have racist people. The thought is good, but the execution is poor. And I say that because why do we have to have a Black national anthem? Is this a black country? See, this harkens back to Jim Crow. Jim Crow had separate but equal. They had black schools. You had black water fountains. You had all of those separate but equal facilities. And now we have black dorms and black graduations and white graduations. All of these things are taking place in the name of wokeness. They're taking place as a way to show empathy for black people. But this does not help black people. This is patronizing. Why do you need to sing Lift Every Voice and Sing before a football game? Does it appease you? Does it make you feel good like you're doing something for the black community? And when you're naming off names of people, why are you always saying the names of people that were shot by the police? What about the names of the people that were killed in the inner city? What about the names of the children that have been killed in drive-by shootings? What about the names of babies that have been aborted in the black community? What about those names? They want their names on the back of somebody's helmet. They want that pasted or painted in the end zone. But no, it's because this woke culture, and it's funny. So Bill Maher, the host of Politically Incorrect, actually has been on a rampage when it comes to speaking truth to these things that the left has been participating in and encouraging recently. And he spoke about this on his latest show.
To me, when people say to me sometimes like, boy, you know, you go after the left a lot these days. Why? I'm like, because you're embarrassing me. That's why I'm going after the left in a way you never did before. Because you're inverting things that I'm not going to give up on being liberal. This is what these teachers are talking about, that you're taking children and making them hyper aware of race in a way they wouldn't otherwise be. I mean, I saw last night on the football game, Alicia Keys sang Lift Every Voice and Sing, which now I hear is called the Black National Anthem. Now, maybe we should get rid of our national anthem, but I think we should have one national anthem. I think when you go down a road where you're having two different national anthems, colleges sometimes now have, many of them have different graduation ceremonies for black and white, separate dorms. This is what I mean, segregation. You've inverted the idea. We're going back to that under a different name.
And it's so funny. You have people that are classical liberals actually finally speaking up against this hypocrisy and this craziness. This is pure craziness. This does not help black people. This does not help white people. This fosters hatred and segregation. What about other nationalities? You think they want their national anthem sang? We're going to have national anthems for everybody now. We're going to have the Asian national anthem. We're going to have, you should have a Native American national anthem, honestly. They were here first. You going to do that? But no, you got to appease Black Lives Matter and the woke crowd and have the black national anthem sung before football games. The NFL and the commissioner, Roger Goodell, is a coward.
All time for our country, in particular, Black people in our country. First, my condolences to the families of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and all the families who have endured police brutality. We, the National Football League, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of Black people. We, the National Football League, admit we were wrong for not listening to NFL players earlier and encourage all to speak out and peacefully protest. We, the National Football League, believe Black Lives Matter. I personally protest with you and want to be part of the much needed change in this country. Without Black players, there would be no National Football League. And the protests around the country are emblematic of the centuries of silence, inequality, and oppression of Black players, coaches, fans, and staff. We are listening. I am listening. And I will be reaching out to players who have raised their voices and others on how we can improve and go forward for a better and more united NFL family.
Yeah, I said that. The NFL and Roger Goodell is a coward. You know why he's a coward? Instead of singing Lift Every Voice and Sing before a game, how about you hire more black coaches? How about you have more black head coaches? They'll have more of an impact than singing Lift Every Voice and Sing before a football game. And I know the NFL has this social justice initiative where people are doing some good in the community. But nevertheless, your actions belie your words. Because there's only a handful of black head coaches in the NFL. But yet the league is more than 70% black. But yet you're going to sing Lift Every Voice and Sing before every football game. You're going to have signs painted in your end zone. That's just lip service, man. How about you have programs in place and you talk about those programs and the people that have been impacted by true racism that takes place in inner city? You're creating segregation by having a black national anthem. We don't live in a black country. We live in the United States of America. This harkens back to one country for everybody else and one country for black people. And honestly, I don't want that. The civil rights leaders did not march for a separate national anthem. They marched for this country to realize the ideals that have been espoused in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. That's what they marched for. They didn't march for a separate but equal stance. They didn't march for a separate but equal national anthems. They didn't march for separate but equal graduations. You're taking us back. And it's all intentional. The people that want to destroy this country, they are using race as the means to do it, to divide us just on race. And the problem is too many people are identifying themselves and allowing themselves to be played based on race. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. This perpetuates the victim mentality. The fact that you have a black national anthem sung at the cornerstone of American sports, American football. It's the cornerstone of American sports. And you have the black national anthem sung, all to appease the woke crowd. Knowing that these people don't care about NFL, they don't care about football, they hate football, they want to destroy football. All this appeasement that people are doing for the sake of wokeness is tired and it needs to stop. How about propose solutions that will truly help the community? How about taking your hands off of the businesses? Taking your hands that you've implemented these arduous regulations on these small businesses that are taking them out of business to make them dependent upon the government. The plan is to make small businesses and people dependent upon the government, period. End of story. That's it. They want people to be dependent upon the government. It's all a socialist, Marxist play. It's from their playbook. It's all from the socialist, Marxist playbook. That's what it all boils down to. They don't care about black people. I'll say it again. They do not care about black people. If they really care about their black athletes, they'll do more to provide them with benefits. They would. If they really cared about black people, they'll provide more opportunities for folks to be hired as head coaches. I'm not talking about affirmative action, because affirmative action has helped white women more than it's helped black men and black women. To be honest, affirmative action has helped white women more than it's helped black men. It has. I'm not talking about a government program. I'm not talking about government initiated equality. That does not work, because there's always winners and losers, and the government is picking the winners and the losers. And we don't want that. That's not the country we want. Black people do not want that. Frederick Douglass said it best. What does a black man want? He wants you to get out the way so he can live his life and exercise his agency. That's what the black man wants. That's all the black man desires. That's all black people desire. Is equal opportunity. The equality of opportunity. We know that it does not indicate that there will be an equality of results, but let the media tell it and let the woke crowd tell it. They want that equality of results, and that will not happen. The government cannot pick winners and losers. We've seen it. We've seen it recently. We've seen these government programs fail. And now we see through other areas how the government is segregating people. See, this current administration is all about segregation. And they're using whatever means necessary to do it. They are using whatever means necessary to segregate our country. Our country is being segregated and is being divided upon racial lines and upon medical lines. It's being divided upon racial lines and medical lines. And it's sad because black people are impacted by both. We're impacted negatively by racial lines. We're impacted negatively by medical lines because we're the last and most hesitant group to take this so-called jab. We are. So we're impacted twice, racially and medically. But you won't hear that in the news. You won't hear your mainstream pundits say that, because that flies in the face of the argument of the woke crowd. That devalues their argument. But we are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. And this attempt to segregate us based on race and to put it in our face constantly has to stop. It has to stop. So NFL, I encourage you, please do not. If you're going to play Lift Every Voice and Sing, just play it. But also, if you're going to play it, don't call it a black national anthem. Call it what it is. Call it a Negro spiritual. Call it a spiritual that was written in the early 1900s because people were truly oppressed back then. That was in the height of Jim Crow. So people were truly oppressed. And so they needed music. They needed each other. They needed something to inspire them and to propel them to push for the change that we ultimately receive. But why are we trying to go backwards? Why are these people trying to take us backwards? I refuse that. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. We will not go backwards. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness.